All right, here we are. It is another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. Happy to be here and sunshiny today.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And today we are talking about chemical, physical, and emotional stressors and why that is a toxic trio that could be causing you chronic health issues. Most people think of the chiropractor for neck and back pain, but in today's episode, we're going to discuss how other things, the toxins in your environment, in your head, your traumas, your thoughts, your foods that you're eating, and the things around you can actually also cause chronic issues that can derail your nervous system. So we're going to dispel that today on why we're more than just neck and back docs. And Dr. Erica has some exciting stories to share. So we're going to hand the ball over to her.
No, we always have so many stories all week. And, one of the things, and you probably hear this all the time, and this is one of the reasons why we want to talk chemical and emotional, is because people come to us. How many times do you hear this every single week? I didn't even do anything. It's not just the physical. And that is why we want to talk about the 3 T's, which that's toxins, traumas, and thoughts. And so this very last patient that I just saw, she's leaving here. And I got her adjusted, but she said, we're calling in hospice for her husband. And what that does to her physiology in the thought process of like what's ahead, what they've been through, and all of the things and then of course the chemo is then the stress. She said he really wanted to come in today, but she said, I don't know, just getting in and out of cars is so difficult. And she's like, he chose not to do chemo, but all of this is just affecting him so much. And then, that goes right into the chemistry of the body. But then what we put in our body, it's just like all the stories are all week long, goes all 3 ways. But so many people will say to us this one thing, I didn't even do anything.
Which if you guys can relate to that, let us know. Leave a comment about that. I know everybody, or I just woke up like this. I slept wrong.
Yeah, tragic sleeping accidents.
Yeah.
And the other part is there's actually a physical stress of not doing enough. There's also that part. Like, I didn't even do anything. I'm like, that's part of the problem too.
Yeah. Sitting at a desk all day. That's, we take for granted that sitting and doing nothing isn't something. Like it's something for sure. And that whole piece of the trauma, the thoughts and the traumas, your body doesn't know when it's in stress mode, fight or flight. It doesn't know it's not being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. So you're still getting all of those stress hormones coursing through your system, causing inflammation, blood sugar dysregulation, brain fog, and all of those things that when you come to the chiropractor and you get adjusted, we're actually moving you out of fight or flight into rest, digest, and repair, into that parasympathetic, calming, resting mode. But your body, we're only taking you away from the saber-toothed tiger for a few minutes, and then you go out into the world, and what do?
Yeah, well, so that's really why we're here, because we just want to, be talking to people about what are you doing on the other side of your adjustments.
I may have sent this reel to you. It was an interview with Prince, obviously many years ago. And he was talking about stress and thoughts and trauma. And he said, I was talking to a friend and he said, he asked the friend of these movies, he's like, so those movies, are they real to you or are they fake? And the friend said, well, they're fake. And Prince said to his friend, well, describe a scene for me. And the friend described the scene and he goes, it's real in your mind, isn't it? And I was like, whoa, because your mind does not know the difference between something that actually happened and an event that has been vividly imagined. And so this is why I can't watch horror stories. I live them. I take them in too deeply into my neurology. And so we really have to, think about what are we doing just from the things that we're watching and the people we're hanging out with and the messages that we're saying to ourselves.
Well, I talk to patients initially and it's like, have you ever been, when we think about like the emotion and the chemistry behind it. So these are my questions to you if you're out there listening, and Kenny, I can see your name come up. Yeah, Kenny. Okay, so I can see your name come up. So let me ask you these two questions. Have you ever been so happy that you could feel it from head to toe? Have you ever been so mad that you could feel it from head to toe? So that is the emotional chemical response that is literally creating a reality, whether it's a reality or not. I have these patients, and you do, I know you do too, where it's like they come in, they're just chronically inflamed, chronically not feeling well. Their mindset is in a bad place, but they're also not feeding themselves well because they're going for comfort food. They're not moving their bodies. That makes them feel worse. That makes them feel, you know what I mean? It's like this really vicious circle. And when we talk chemical, emotional, and physical stresses inside of that vicious circle, that is a vicious circle that does not ever stop. And I can tell you there's a ton of research behind chiropractic that allows people to increase their willpower, expand their bandwidth, and increase their willpower so that their choices begin to change. And we chatted a little bit about how that affects the brain centers and how that really it can expand who you are as a person. So it's always on so many different levels. We talked a little bit about that last week. So go back and watch that one too. So
Yeah, your
anyway,
relatability to the environment, to people, to relationships. Yeah. I had a patient a couple weeks ago who restarted care and hadn't seen her for a couple of years. And she had gained some weight. And she was like, my diet is just atrocious. And I know it is. And she's always struggled with weight. And she was telling me, she said she looked back at pictures of herself from the last several years. And she realized that even though she was still overweight in the previous pictures, the amount of weight she's gained, she could see it in the pictures to where she is today. And she said to me, she said, I looked back at those pictures and I thought to myself, how long have you hated yourself?
Aww.
And I said, I was like, I go, oh my God. I said, that's so sad. And she goes, I know. She goes, why do I think that about myself? And you guys, these are the things. She has struggled with her weight. She's struggled with her health. And this thought in her head, this underlying thought that she finally woke up and was like, I've hated myself.
Mm-hmm.
Those kinds of thoughts are actual traumas. And that is keeping her inflamed, and it's keeping her in a state of chronic health, and it's keeping her from living the life that she deserves so fully. And so, I've worked with her. I've known her for, 15 years, and I've worked with her on and off for many years. And so now I realize, okay, this is my goal, my mission with her is to make sure that we work on that mindset, because there is only so much. So if we're adjusting the spine and you're still having super negative thoughts like that, and you hate yourself, you are putting damage into your body through chemical assault of your thoughts. Mm-hmm. It creates disease. And so we have to, Dr. Eric and I have to constantly remind you guys, and not that, she and I will fall into that trap here and there, but I think we've done enough mindset stuff that we're able to we recognize if we're falling into a trap of negativity, and we're able to pull ourselves out. So we have to make sure we're here to then offer you guys the same kind of advice, the same kind of ways to pull yourself out of it. And of course, the chiropractic adjustment is the first thing.
For sure. And, one adjustment doesn't solve it, but regular adjustments on a regular basis is exactly, okay, so I had a nervous breakdown. So as chiropractors, we are working with the bones, but we're directly affecting the nerves. So if you're having that like nerve frenzy feeling, and then you get adjusted, like it's literally like your whole body will take a big sigh, like, just thank you. That doesn't mean that it's solved right there, right? Could we have helped that nervous breakdown that snuck up on you? Silly Lily, hard to say. But regular adjustments helps you just integrate and not let it get so overwhelming. It's like, okay, you have 17 windows in your computer open. And then all of a sudden, I know. Was I calling you out directly?
It might be more. I know. What? Are you looking at my computer right now?
Yeah. So all of a sudden, let's just use that as like sort of a figurative of the body. You have all 17 windows open, and now all of a sudden your computer goes into the spinning, wheel of death, and it's not going anywhere. When our body hijacks itself and it just goes overwhelmed, cannot deal with it anymore, the adjustment comes in and can do Control Alt Delete, much like when you do that with your computer. That's what we can do on a chemical and emotional and physical level for the body, because there's no separation of that. I just had a patient in yesterday, and he was talking about, like, I have this thing going on, and I don't know if it's muscle or nerve or bone. I mean, how many times have you heard that? I don't know if it's muscle or nerve
I think
or bone.
it's just muscle. That's the one I get.
I
It's
like
just the
it's
muscle.
all connected. Like we don't work like that. It's not like chemical, emotional, physical. Like it's all connected. There's no way to separate it. One leads to the other, leads back to the one, leads back to the other. And I don't know, this is another question for you guys out there. How many times when you start to build your physical strength in the gym, do you find emotional strength and just professional strength and personal strength, mindset wise, at the same time? Like it's all interconnected, and the adjustment does so well to help keep that integrated.
That's such a great point. And I always love when you say Control Alt Delete, because I forget that.
Mhm.
And yet I feel like everybody knows what that means. And it's such a powerful visual for a chiropractic adjustment, for getting you out of that the spinny, what is it?
Circle of death.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Or
the
the
blue
screen of
screen, and you
death.
just
Yeah,
got one little tiny wheel that
exactly.
you're
You're
hoping
like,
your life will
no.
continue and get to the other side.
Yeah, it's a great visual, and I have to remember to start using that, because I think I love things that put the visual in people's heads, and I think that's a really good one for us to remember.
So my other story, this is like the sweetest thing ever. So I was just looking back at this patient file. So this patient is 13 years old right now, and he started his first visit was in 2012. So he was just born, right? So he's been in here 537 times.
Oh, it's
And
awesome.
I know they come in weekly. They always have, it's a family of 5. So there's 3 kids now. And the oldest, so this kid that I just mentioned, 13, is the youngest. The oldest is now 16, and he's driving. And they come in every week. They always have, I love them to death. They do everything natural. They have gardens and saunas, and they're doing a blended homeschool and in-person school. It's just, I really love this family because they make my job make so much
It's when
sense.
you're like, I would love an office full of
Of the
people like
people
that.
that really get it, right? So it's usually the family of 5 and the kids. So depending on what day of the week it is, they divide. So today is the 3rd. So they divide the 3rd of the month by 3. And one of the kids has their number is 1, their number is 2, and their number is 3. So if it was the 4th, they divide that by 3, and they have a remainder of 1. That's how they figure out when the kids go. So remainder 1, remainder 2, or remainder or 0,
Yeah.
0, 1, or 2, right? So even 1 or 2, that's who goes first and gets on the table. They had to figure that out a long time ago. So they
That's
stopped
so
arguing.
funny.
Today, I walk in and they're sitting in the room, and I'm looking, and there's usually 5 on the screen, and there's only 3. Just the kids came today. Now that the oldest is driving, they really just get what we're doing. And I was looking at my screen before, because sometimes one will be in the bathroom, parent will be in the bathroom, or another parent's like driving in, but they're usually all 5 of them are together. I said, "Where are your parents?" And they're like, you guys came here like for the very first time, all on their own after 537 visits.
So exciting.
I know.
And you're like, you were just babies when you
They
started
were.
coming.
It was so sweet because the little guy, when he first could learn how to walk, he would get off the table. So they start face down, and then he would get off. So imagine this. He's laying down at the table, and he would get off this way. He would take his legs from up behind him, and he would launch his legs over the top and land on his feet right by the headrest.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like flips up and over and lands right here. He was, now I never had he was 13 years old. When he was born, he was like the cutest kid ever. He's still kind of like on the petite side. I love all the kids. They're amazing children. They're all beautiful. But this little guy, because of his dismount off the table, I freaking loved it. And I remember I was like, this little guy makes me want to have children. Now, I never have had to have I never got to have children. I'm now beyond. Hopefully I'll be able to be a grandma by association somehow. But anyway, I love it because this family, they're so near and dear to me. And for them to walk in, because these kids have just been adjusted since the beginning, and they just get it. They just get it.
Well, they didn't come in for neck and back pain.
Not at all.
Not even for physical ailment. Optimization of health and wellness.
Yep.
And that changes the trajectory of those kids' lives.
For sure.
100%.
They're lucky they get to come once a week. My family and my brothers and I were adjusting since we were little, but it was once a month. And we would also argue who was getting on the table first. But fortunately, I've been able to live in an optimized way with my nervous system, regardless of all of the things that I did to my body and emotionally. And I mean, if you guys knew how I was raised on an apple orchard, like the chemical assault to my body is insane. My uncle would call the house and he would say, hey, we're coming through to spray. And it was all the spray. Who knows what they were spraying? Close the windows. And so we would close.
And in what amounts? Like
weekly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Through the season too. And so I did 12 years on the orchard. And he would say, close the house. And then we would literally, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, we would open the windows within 30 minutes and we would go outside in our bare feet and run all over. And we would spray at apples. So if we would see spray on the apples, we would just like take them and like rub them against our shirt and eat them.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like chemical assault.
Oh my God.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway.
Oh my gosh. Well, and speaking of chemical assault, I feel like your list still trumps mine, but I do want to show you guys this. This is a patient. They came in the other day.
Similar. Yeah.
And there's not anything on here with regards to, there's not even a multivitamin, which I'm shocked, because usually I shouldn't say usually, but sometimes commonly their doctor will say you should take a multivitamin, then they'll take like some crappy multivitamin. But regardless, when I look at this, I'm like, and I said to him, I said, are you taking, do you take any supplements? And he goes, oh, no, just my medications. Like that's all he needs. It's just his medications. And then he came in 3 times this week. He had severe neck pains in his 70s. And he's like, I've never had neck pain before. And I'm like, got it. And he came in today and he feels so good after 3 adjustments. And he's like, I don't need to continue. I feel amazing. And I was like, okay. I mean, there's just only so much that we can do. And when somebody's been so indoctrinated and he's never been to a chiropractor, grateful he walked into this office, grateful that he had a great experience and that in 3 visits, he feels like he can go back to life. So super grateful for that. But I didn't do anything to him. He got a very expensive Band-Aid. This is chemical assault on the body.
So I was listening to a podcast and it was this guy who created a program that goes in the computer. It's in the computer system for assisted living patients to manage their medicine. Because quite frankly, when you have 50, 70, 100 residents in a place, how do you know who gets what when, right? So on average, the average medicine taken by one resident in assisted living facility is 48. Max 96.
Crazy. Just
That's
crazy. Yeah.
absolutely
Mhm.
insane. None of
Mhm.
this is creating longevity. The chemistry involved in the assault on the body, on the liver, on the kidneys, on the heart, all of it, on the brain is so detrimental. And I posted that thing the other day. It was like all your MDs right now are they're getting through medical school. The ones in medical school right now are getting through with Chat GPT and AI. And I'm sorry, you guys, you better get involved with your health on
Mhm.
all levels, and you better get started now. And if you already started, keep
Never
going.
too
And
late.
if you haven't started, start now. It doesn't mean you need to do physical. You don't need to, do everything 100%, but you have to get these things situated. Five
Well,
minute meditation. What would that take to change your emotional well-being in a day?
and let's just talk about what Kenny said. He said last time I was in a gym for personal use was 12th grade. So, but the other thing about that, and now if you don't exercise, if you're not moving your body or any of those things, then that we need to talk about that. But do you have a physical job? Like oftentimes I think it's like we have to go to the gym, but I mean, I know people who have very physical jobs and like that's kind of okay too. That's still movement. That's still stressing the body in a good way physically. Some people have too physical of jobs, overly stressed, but then Kenny also says, in my defense, I'm still in pretty decent shape for my age, 6'1" and 170. So you are of an ideal body weight for your height. And I think it's also very common, and I'm not picking on you, nor am I making any assumptions, Kenny. But many people will say, I don't exercise and I'm thin. I still look good, but metabolically. So what we're really trying to do is push the needle, move the needle metabolically. And we'll see this a lot with men and women couples, where the woman and the man, like they want to do weight loss together, and the man drops weight like this, and then the wife is like, oh my god, he just thinks about losing weight and he loses weight. I can't believe it. And he can eat anything he wants and he drops weight, and he looks good. And I'm like, yeah, but he's still diabetic, isn't he? He's still
Right.
on medication, isn't he? He's still this. So we are in this mindset of how we look is how healthy we are, and that is the most incomplete picture of health that we can be in. So we need to move from that space of how do we optimize health, optimize the nervous system, chiropractic being the number one thing, utilizing lifestyle medicine, all the pillars of the things that we're talking about as a way to move the needle. So if you've never exercised, you don't have a physical job, you don't do anything physical, and you're eating like crap, just because you're thin and you might look good on the outside does not make you healthy.
Mm-hmm. There was a couple of weeks ago when I was at that seminar, there was something that was presented, and it was capital NEAT, which is non-exercise athletic thermogenesis. And so what that means is you can park extra far from your building, park extra far out in the parking lot, walk your dogs, do all of these things in a day, walk the stairs, that kind of stuff. So you can do enough of that in a day to make actual workouts optional. So I thought that was such a neat thing. And it really, I mean, of course, everybody wants the close spot in the parking lot. And everyone, I mean, even for me, it's like, oh, my parking angel's here. Like I got the front spot. But now I look at it differently because I'm running out of time to drive to the gym, get up there, do the thing. So every single day. I also realize how many miles I do between this door, this seat, this door, and two adjusting tables and my front desk. And I'll do like, my Aura ring will track me at like 4, 5, 6 miles sometimes
Same.
just in patient care. And so at that point, in the past, I used to really get down on myself that I didn't feel like I had the energy to go and get like a kick-ass workout in or whatever. And so now I realize after I started tracking, like I've already done that N non-exercise athletic thermogenesis. I've already done enough of that in my days to then make my actual go to the gym optional. That doesn't mean that I still need to pick things up. Like I need to carry the salt bags. I need to carry, luggage or look for heavy things to pick up and set down. And at my home, because I live on my own, everything is freaking heavy and you know what I mean? It's like, just stuff's heavy.
Well, and the NEAT, like these are also people who, so what they found in those studies was that NEAT, people who practice NEAT don't even know they're doing it, like you said.
Right.
And these are the people who have to tap their hands all the time, tap their foot all the time. They're always in movement. And they also found that those people who are like constant toe tappers or constant, the pen clicker people, that all burns calories. And those people are actually like, they are not as heavy as people who don't have this sort of like underlying, like those sort of jittery, like always have to move fidget spinners.
Yeah.
That's neat. That's all utilizing that. So it's really interesting how it can burn that many more extra calories to actually see a change in that population of people.
Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking about when it comes to chemical stress is just dehydration. People don't think about that as a chemical stress, but we need water. Our body is a soup, and we need to have that constantly being replenished. I use the analogy of if you were stuck out in the woods, and God forbid, let's just not actually ever have that happen. But would you choose a stream or would you choose a stagnant puddle if you had to have water, like if you just had no other source? Of course, you would choose the running stream or the brook because it's moving. And so our body on the outside, we all know we need to shower from on the outside every day, but we also need to have a fresh supply of water inside of our body and hydration. And when we don't, we can start to get, like people say, oh, I got PVCs, I've got, brain fog, I've got like muscle spasms, I've got all this stuff. And a lot of times that simply is coming from not the right osmolarity of the blood and not the right amount of water to chemistry in the body. So that would be also an example of the chemical stresses that we could that's an easy fix. I was going to say, I just got off the phone with a chiropractor out in California, and he's also a nutritionist. And I was like, I just tell people, like, what you should do. I'm happy to look at like a 3-day log and help you choose this for that, like swap out this for that. Do the thing you should be doing.
And they always say, I know I should be doing it.
And knock it off.
Why aren't you?
Just knock it off.
Right.
Your excuses don't work here anymore.
Well, I want to ask you this question because I want to hear how you would answer this. But when people come in and they're like, I just don't like water, and that's how I hear it in my head. And I have my own way of answering patients. So how often do you hear people say to you they don't like water? And what is your response to them? Because I'm pretty sure it's about as smart ass of a comment as well.
It's cuss words because it's like, it's absolute BS. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, but I've told this story in the past. So I used to have open door adjusting. I know. This is my water, and then this is my amino acids, protein, whatever. So my rooms were across the hall from each other, and I had this guy. This is his exact words, and my mom was in the on the table across the hall. He's face down, and he says, his name's Frank. This was so many years ago. How am I supposed to convince myself to drink water? Frank, I don't know.
I don't know.
My mom, so I adjusted him and sent him on his way. And then I went over to my mom. I was like, what do you even say to that? Like, it's
Yeah.
just ignorance, you guys. It's just ignorance. Just get it done. It doesn't matter. But I give this tip. So when you put water up to your mouth, instead of taking 2 sips, take 10, because it's already there anyway. If you have a straw, take 10 big gulps rather than just 2. And by the end of the day, that'll make you 5x more hydrated than you were if you weren't thinking about it.
And that's why I use the
Mhm,
smoothie straw, because
mhm.
I get a lot more water with one sip, but it's usually 3 or 4 in one. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to me. I saw something also on it was some Instagram reel, and it was some guy, and he was like, "You've been duped. We don't need to drink water." He did this whole, and he's some medical. I don't even remember. I might have sent it to you because I'm like, dude's ridiculous. Like, he basically said we need to stop drinking water and hydrating, and I'm like, got it. Okay.
Well, so then some people will say, well, what about this hyponatremia? Like,
Right. Yeah.
what if we get to a place, and that just means that we don't have enough sodium water, like we just don't have enough electrolytes, that our entire body gets diluted, and then we don't have the proper brain chemistry and our heart isn't pumping properly. Yes, that is dangerous. That does not happen to
Rare. Rare.
99% of the population.
Yes.
That
Point
does
nine
not happen
nine nine
to.
nine
Oh,
nine.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane. That
Yeah.
is not something that any of us have to worry about
Yes.
unless you're out. It's usually the ultra marathon runners. It's usually like the ultra excessive workout people
Or
that,
people who are on a multitude of medications,
right.
who are just, it's just an assault on their biochemistry, and their body cannot regulate itself anymore.
Yeah.
That's when you hear of hyponatremia. That's what you're hearing. That's typically what happens. It's not your general healthy person who's had water because they had a workout. Like, there's no way. But I also feel like people like to, that's another excuse, is, oh, I heard hyponatremia, and so I'm not going to drink water, but I'm still going to eat my Big Macs. Like, it's literally just an excuse, and that's where we need to just stop. Because if you want something better for yourself, you have to do something better for
Right.
yourself.
I was just looking back. There was a question back here. It said, I'm so glad I caught this today. It's Mountain Grandma.
Oh
Did you
yeah,
guys already talk about how adjustments impact your overall health in this live? I'm sorry I'm late. I need to replay what I missed.
I think
I'd
we
love to
can
hear that.
recap that for sure.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that, I mean, we talk about it every week. So please subscribe to not only our page, but then go back, and you can, on what I love about on YouTube is that you can go and listen at 1.5 speed or 2 speed and like get the gist. We do try and always just like pack this time full of content that matters. But yes, so just a sort of like the quick and dirty about how the adjustment helps is, number one, so many ways, but this is really what it boils down to. When we deliver an adjustment to the body, prior to that, our body is releasing so much stress hormones out of our brain. If you have any misalignments in the spine, that's what's going on in the body. It can show up as pain, it can show up as discomfort, malfunction, all kinds of things, but the body is overwhelmed with stress hormones. When we deliver the adjustment, the body shifts that hormone structure, and it starts to put out the dopamine, serotonin, and all of the healing chemicals in the body, and it shifts the body's ability to optimize what it's doing. Every single time, I don't care if you believe it or not. I don't care if 2 adjustments didn't work for you or not. Get involved with your health now.
Well, and I had 3 patients, all women, over the course of about 3 or 4 weeks. They all had fallen. They weren't elderly. They were all like 50 something. And they all had fallen in for whatever reason. So trauma. Okay, so physical trauma, and then that physical trauma creates chemical trauma inside the body. And then the body becomes inflamed because it has to heal. So there's stress hormones that get released with that. And about a week to 2 weeks later, all three of them got sick. They came in, and they're all different. And I had this conversation with all three of them. They sat down in the chair. They were all sinusy, congested. And they were like, yeah, I don't know where this came from. And I said, it's because you had a trauma. And it was literally the same conversation. So they were like, how could falling down the stairs, or however the other ones got injured, make me sick? And I said, because your body doesn't know that you fell down the stairs or it was being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Your immune system, your body doesn't care about keeping you healthy and keep your immune system strong in the face of stress. Its job is to save your life when there's stress. Its job is to get you to run from the saber-toothed tiger to save your life. It does not care about fighting a cold. So you have a trauma that creates chemical assault on the body because of hormones that dumps your immune system, drops its ability to fight things off, making you more susceptible. And then boom, now you're sick. And they were all like, wow, that makes so much sense. I'm like, yes. So that physical trauma that most people think of, I hurt myself, I'm going to go to the chiropractor. We are also managing the chemical and the emotional piece of it. We're making sure we're balancing all of those things out with one chiropractic adjustment. So it's really pretty darn cool when we think about how we're able to impact the nervous system through one adjustment.
It is amazing. And just to back all of that up, just to kind of maybe come full circle on that. Why are these women tripping and falling in the first place? What connection? When you find yourself stumbling in life, you're catching your toes, you're doing that regularly, like your brain isn't properly getting proprioceptive input. And that's coming through, again, always the information superhighway, which is your brain, spinal cord, spinal nerves. And so if you're finding yourself stumbling regularly, or you're like, gosh, I keep hitting my head or stubbing my toe, or I just keep running into doorways, like that's also, why did these three women trip in the first place? So
all around the same age.
Right. And they're not, they're probably trying to do too much. They're under a ton of stress. They're probably trying to manage a bunch of kids. And, we had like 6 bags. We're trying to get all this stuff in the car, plus answer the phone, the text message. Like it's too much. That is the frenzy. And we have to hit Control Alt Delete, help the body to manage itself better, optimize our function, and everything else follows. And then when you leave our office, quit messing it up.
Right.
Don't go right to McDonald's. Go drink your water, take a walk around the parking lot, go hug your kids, get some sunshine on your skin, get some rest that you're supposed to get, eat some Whole Foods.
All of the things. Yeah. And that's also the other conversation is, why are you falling? And I have to express much concern to all three of them, because this is, I don't even want to call it middle age, but 50 something. And if we haven't taken care of ourselves, this is where we're starting to see that decline, where we'll see the decline mentally, emotionally, physically, and chiropractic care can really build and help promote more sharpness, better quality of life, better quality of hormone production, better quality of sleep. So yes, I am having those conversations with them with regards to why the one in particular has fallen like 3 times in the past year. Yeah. Not okay. So yeah, I'm getting old. It's to be expected. Yeah, it is not. We do not want to be falling as we get older. That is not. Yeah, have it checked out for sure. So it is 1:43. Time just flies when we're having fun.
It does. Thank you for joining us and for all the comments today. It's always so fun. Feel free to share this out, of course, subscribe to the channel, of course. And then, so if you guys really knew Dr. Paula and I, like, we are full send people, like we're here, whether one of us, our insides are coughing out our insides, or, we've had rough, like there's been times where there's like emotional meltdowns, and then we're like, we're showing up for you. We
literally
just are.
Right before.
Yeah. So expect us to be here. We love that you're here too. So thank you.
For sure. Yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you and all your comments and the engagement. And if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, please leave a comment. Like, we are here to present this. We want to give you what you need. We try to come up with what we think you want to hear, but if there's anything more specific, then please let us know. And Silly Lily, thank you so much for sharing it out. And we appreciate you being here.
Penny, more FaceTime next week, same time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, you guys. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.